In the last video on the 6th Gen Farmer channel, we put these Firestone tracks on my tractor. They cost me $15,000. And well, after I installed them, I found a few issues with them. The first issue being, when I took them on down the road for the first time, it like bogged my engine down in road gear, and I couldn't figure it out. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad alignment and I need to align these tracks a lot better. That's where the problem number 2 came in, and that is right here. This bolt is the alignment bolt to align the tracks left or right to make sure that your guide lugs are centered between your idler wheels. And well, I can't even get the socket in there to adjust the bolt. And I thought that's not right. And I looked at pictures in the book, and this gap between this front bogie and this front idler was much bigger. And then I went out to a neighbor's place where he has an MT765 tractor, and I measured the gap between his front idler and his bogie, and it was much larger than mine. So at this point, we had spent a good part of 2 days trying to get these tracks installed. They were an absolute bugger to install because they were just so tight. So I reached out to MTS Tire, who I bought the tracks from, and they said, you know, that's kind of weird. They are the correct tracks. I thought that maybe I was sold the incorrect tracks. So they reached out to their Firestone rep. And remember in the last video when I said this? I'm not a big Firestone track guy, but it's what they had. Well, turns out my feelings were valid. Here's what we were told about these tracks. But first, you gotta understand there are 4 classes of Firestone ag tracks. There's class 3, 4, 5, and 6. Class 3 tracks are labeled as their light duty tracks. Class 4 and 5 are both marketed as standard duty tracks. And then class 6 are advertised as their heavy duty tracks. So these are class 4 tracks. So these are standard duty tracks. And what we learned is that when Firestone made the mold for their class 4 tracks, they made it too small. They knowingly made it too small. Whether it was an accident or on purpose, I don't know. But they've been selling these tracks that are knowingly too small, just normally without telling anybody. And their excuse was, well, most of the time it doesn't really matter. Well, in this case it did. So how a company can sell really expensive tracks that are basically defective from the factory just blows my mind. But the worst part is, this is not even our first bad experience with Firestone tracks. It was probably 10-ish years ago, and we needed new tracks for our 8360 RT. And our salesman convinced us to go with Firestone. We were pretty reluctant, but he said, hey, Firestone has this great warranty. Any issues that you have will be covered. Don't worry about it, yada, yada, yada. So we put tracks that honestly looked exactly like this track right here on that tractor, and about a year and a half later, the backside of every single lug was cracking out. And we contacted Firestone about it, and they were like that 5-year-old kid who's sitting there staring at the problem that they created, not acknowledging that it exists. Basically, if your tracks start falling apart on you, that's not covered under warranty. So in those tracks 10 years ago, we never did get anything back from it. We never did get refunded or warranty or nothing. We ended up using those tracks for a really long time. They just kept getting worse and worse and worse. No idea what happened to it now, but I actually did kind of end up on top on this deal, and I'll explain here. And a big shout out to NTS Tires, because I texted my contact there on Saturday evening, or Saturday morning, I guess, and he said, you know what, Monday morning, we'll take care of this, we'll figure it out. And all Monday morning, they were on the phone with Firestone in a gruesome 6-hour battle. I have no idea, but they, I do know they had some conversations with Firestone about these tracks, and what NTS ended up getting me is way better. NTS did convince the sales rep to take back those tracks, and for about $1,600 total extra, I got brand new Class 6 tracks. They're still Firestone, sadly, but these do look like much, much better tracks. The carcass is way thicker. The inside guide lugs are like twice as tall, and these lugs on the outside are, I mean, I can basically stick my whole hand. They're really thick, really, really nice looking tracks. So I'm pretty happy. For an extra 800 bucks a track, I get to go to brand new tracks, a class up, but that means that I have to spend basically the day reinstalling these stupid tracks. So I was at $15,000 for a pair of used tracks and new bogies. Now I'm at did I say 1,600? Yeah. Now I'm at $16,600 for brand new bogies and brand new Class 6 heavy duty tracks. So I do have someone coming here in a bit to help me with these tracks, but I'm here right now. I might as well get started. The first few steps were pretty easy to do by myself. I got these 20-ton jacks to help jack up the tractor, and well, you guys kind of saw in depth of how it went last time, so I might as well make myself look as cool as I possibly can today. Well, Jason has come to assist me. Trevor should be here pretty soon, so hopefully the three of us can knock this out. You guys saw the in-depth kind of detail of taking these tracks on and off in the last video, so we're gonna do a time lapse this time. Well, how long did the last one take us? Like a couple hours aside, probably?
Oh, at least 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah. So Trevor got here at 9:30. We took the old one off and we had a new one on by 10. And look at the difference here. See this gap? Now let me go to the other side with the defective tire stones. Check this out. 3 fingers, not even. My entire hand plus some. So much better. And if you look at it from the back, those new tracks look so much better. Yes, here we go. One of the rear wheels isn't quite on straight. A couple bolts aren't going in, so I'm just gonna take it on a little drive around the yard, retighten those bolts, and then drive it out to my field and try to align these new tracks as best as I can now that I can actually reach the alignment bolt. Both tracks have pretty consistent pressure at 24 to 2500 PSI, so that's good. I'll be watching that. If they do drop a little bit, I have the hose with me so I can repressure them just out in the field if I need to. It's pretty easy to do. Man, these tracks just look so much beefier than the used ones. If I wasn't in the green with this tractor before, I 100% am now. Okay, so to align the tracks, the John Deere has this little symbol right here that shows you like what turning this which direction moves the track. This one does not, and the book does a very poor job of explaining it. So I'm just going to try by loosening the outside and tightening the inside on both sides to see what happens. But the weird issue where I had the bogging going down the road still happened. The shop's right there, but I started going down the road just fine, and after a few hundred yards the engine just started even like 12th, 13th gear just bleh. So I don't know what the heck's going on. It wasn't doing that with the old tracks. My hope is that these tracks are just so poorly aligned that aligning them will fix it. That's the hope. The book says to go a quarter turn at a time, so that's what we're gonna do, at least to start. So if I loosen this side by a quarter turn. Oh, come on. That's roughly a quarter turn. Now I gotta tighten the inside and tighten it to 150 foot-pounds. There's no way I'm already hit 150 foot-pounds, is there? I mean, it says I am. Well, I guess I'll do the other side and drive 400 or 500 feet and see what happens. I think I got them both aligned pretty good. They seem to be aligned really well in the front, not great in the back, which that doesn't quite make sense to me. But what I'm going to do now is just drive around the field pretty quick, pretty fast, and see if the lugs on the bottom, the inside of the track, heat up on one side or the other. Well, I have figured out the bog issue with this tractor. So I got the side panels off right now. Right up here are the fuel filters. So last night I went and bought some new fuel filters, came down early this morning, installed them, made a mistake, forgot to put the O-ring on the water fuel separator, which is the one on the right hand side right there, and couldn't get the system primed, so we had a technician come down and he figured out that issue in a matter of about 2 seconds, and he was very, very good. So he got the engine primed, we got it started, and then he did a bunch of tests on his computer. He did injector tests and I don't even know what else, but I do know that of my 6 injectors, 5 of them are showing really good. One is maybe slowly on its way out, but he recommended just keeping it for now, especially if the limited hours when you're putting on this machine. And then he walked me around the machine and just showed me a bunch of stuff to look out for and everything else. And basically everything that are things that we need to look at, this tractor, it all looked really good. So I feel very, very good about the machine. And then obviously I drove it around a bunch after we got the fuel filters replaced and the issue did not come back. So feeling very good about it. he gave it a good bill of health, felt very good about it. So yeah, that was a bogging issue. So even though if I would have put the O-rings in it, I probably could have got it started myself, I'm still glad he came because he just showed me a bunch of other stuff that I needed to check out and look for, and gave me some recommendations how to do some stuff. Very glad that he came.